of our first ever shows after you were hired. You hadn't flown up to the North Bay, right? And so you weren't on the couch with us.
Yeah, no, it's completely off it. I can't remember. There was a reason behind that. And then in Portland last year when my aunt died.
Yeah, so twice.
2 hours before I was supposed to fly.
Justin didn't make it to the Portland show. I think that was like one of our best live shows we've ever done on stage.
Well, let's be honest, nobody noticed I was missing either. So
the empty chair number 3 was our best show too, and he wasn't there for that one.
Wow, that's an odd coincidence. Michael says he'd noticed Justin.
Oh, thanks.
That's not true.
Appreciate it. I love how the very first show I ever did, which was episode 2, I was maybe 2 weeks, if that, into the job. I had no clue what I was talking about. And you guys know you're sitting on the couch. The only thing I said the entire show, Brandon edited out. So literally the entire show, I'm sitting there not saying a damn word.
Oh, the show just wouldn't be the same without that shiny head of yours.
Helps with life.
How much has changed since that first show of yours, Justin? Do you know anything else now?
Scotch more.
Scotch?
Yeah.
All
right, Lisa. Yeah, kick us off with a little intro video and let's get this shit started.
Do it. Catchy.
Or creepy.
Last 2 have been pretty rough.
Mark's digging that.
I did it at first, then it just kind of kept going on. I was kind of like, all right, I think I'm done.
That's a new one. It's kind of like you're on some downers at a rave or something, some 401k rave.
That one, or who was it last Thursday? Yeah. Who do we have last Thursday?
I don't know.
They all run together now.
Well, what, Brandon? You got something to say?
I call that one pandemic binge drinking.
Nice. I like it. Very creative. Welcome, everybody, to another friggin' episode of Sheltering in Place, brought to you by the Retireholics. What is up, my dudes? What's going on, you 401k people? How's it going, Mark?
Life is good, JD.
Mark's living the dream right now.
Really good.
We have got a special guest. A brave woman has decided to join us. Miss Lisa Allen from Advisor 2X. Thanks for being here.
That's what it takes. It takes bravery to be on, apparently.
Yes.
And a liver that still works.
And Mark has got a sponsor on there, Advisor 2X, sponsoring the Dirty Stinky Robe.
Did you have to approve the sponsorship, or did Bryant just do that all on his own?
Bryant does everything all on his own, which is good with me.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm pretty sure Ross Marino doesn't want his logo on your robe.
That's very true.
Ross probably doesn't know it's on there yet.
I don't think Ross likes me after what he made me go through in Vegas drinking. Or was that? I don't even know where
Vegas,
I was. So that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
Ross likes everyone.
Find that episode. That's a funny one to watch, where Ross takes advantage of Mark in the drinking game. Speaking of Ross.
True.
Speaking of Ross Marino and Advisor 2X, what once was, if that's confusing to anybody, once was 401k Recon. Am I getting that right?
Recon, yeah.
Kind of Recon. But love the new brand, love the new label. Very hip, very cool.
We love it too.
Ross, to me, is like your stereotypical type A. I imagine him up at 5 a.m., writing down a list of things that he's going to do better today than he did yesterday, like just this overachiever, go-getter. But you're telling me, and I've heard these rumors around the industry, that apparently there's a pretty good company culture going on back there at his shop, which to me strikes me as odd. Like, you'd think that the obsessive type A go-getters wouldn't have good culture, but that's not true. Because he's got such a big heart. So tell me first about the culture there, And then maybe we can take it into a broader scope of what we all think good company culture might mean in our industry. But tell us about your shop, Lisa.
For sure. So that is true. Ross is extremely type A. And a few
Oh,
of us
sorry.
in the
Oh,
office-
sorry. I'm so bad. Time out. My bad. Word of the
JD doesn't
episode.
host well.
Word of the episode, advisor. So don't
One
say that word.
job, JD.
Thank
Wow.
you. Gallery view up in the right. Hit gallery view so you see all of us. And if you're chatting, Justin's monitoring the chats. Please chat it up to not just the panelists, but the attendees as well. Lisa, continue.
That's a tough one. Advisor.
Boom.
So
There you
Come
go.
on.
that was completely unintentional, I promise you.
I'll take that one for you.
Oh, I think she believes that we're going to drink every time she says the damn word. Do you not have a drink on you, Lisa?
I'm joining you with a very strong cup of herbal tea to eat
Okay.
this evening.
We are gonna make you pound that herbal tea. All right.
Mhm.
Go on. Sorry.
So it is true. Ross is super type A, and up at 5 a.m. is for Ross. That would be late. I think Ross gets up around 3:30, and
Doesn't surprise me.
works out, does his pray, meditate thing, writes out his morning, writes out his day, writes out his evening routine. Interestingly, it's something that we all do in the office now, aside from the getting up at 3:30 in the morning thing. Although I think Trey may get up at 3:30 in the morning because he's similar.
What time are they going to bed to get up at 3:30?
I don't know.
3:30 p.m.
Dinner time, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they go to bed right after Jeopardy,
Call
bro.
them right now
after
when they get
Jeopardy.
asleep.
Right? Yeah, but you would think that because he's so type A and so structured and so focused and, doing more before 5 a.m. like the Army, that the office would run like that. And it actually, while the office is incredibly focused, the culture is legendary. We have a legendary culture right now. Everyone asks me about our culture. I get emails all the time. Do you guys have an opening? And it's something that Ross and Trey have built over time. Certainly not something I brought to the office. I came to the office
Right.
in a large part because of the culture. It's incredible. And I think that some of the things I've learned about the culture at Advisor 2X that are applicable not just to firms, but also to, it's not just our industry, it's applicable across the board to any industry, are that it truly does lead from the CEO down. And this is not, a culture is not something a CEO can outsource and go to the HR person and say, build me a culture.
Damn it. That means we're screwed,
Been
guys.
trying for
We're
years.
absolutely screwed. I knew it was wrong. It all starts with me. Fuck. All right. My bad.
I was going to tell Lisa too, please don't let JD know that I was one of those ones that emailed you asking if you had openings. Won't
So
go over
what-
well.
So what
Mark,
specifically
looks like you're
then,
getting a promotion, buddy.
with Ross leading from the
Don't want
top,
Yeah.
what's
sure.
making this culture good? What can you put your finger on that specifically makes it happen?
I think that there's a lot of things. And so I think you can't start creating a culture until you take care of the basics. It's sort of like the hierarchy of needs thing. So you're not going to be able to create a great culture if you don't pay enough that your employees don't have to worry about money. And if that's a continual worry on your employees' minds, the last thing you need to worry about is culture.
So far, I'm
So-
0 for 2. Okay, keep going.
So the things like benefits and, making sure employees aren't worried that they have to go to the doctor and making sure employees can pay their bills, that's the basics before you even get to culture, right? But then over and above that, and we certainly have some great perks. We have good benefits and we have some additional perks, which are really cool. We get gym memberships paid for and things like that are great.
Right.
But more importantly, I think that the most important thing that we do is complete, and this is going to make some people uncomfortable, but when I tell you it is complete and utter transparency from the top down. And that doesn't mean, everybody's in meetings. We actually don't do a heck of a lot of meetings. But I mean, we talk about, here's the goal of the company. Here's why we have these goals. Here's our short-term goals. Here's our long-term goals. Everybody is in the know all the time. There's no, executive meetings where we have a relatively flat organization.
I hear you. I feel like you could interchange the word transparency with just like ongoing communication, right? Just making sure that everyone, because you're right. Old school, especially financial services type companies were very siloed, right? It was the big shots in the conference room that would talk about the big things, and everyone else in their cubicles wouldn't know what the hell's going on, right? So I hear you. I think you're right. That's probably a great step towards culture. And here I thought it was just getting a ping pong table and a beer tap or something.
A beer tap?
Those are like the fun, nice perks, but we don't have a ping pong table, but we have been all asking for a Peloton in the office. Hoping someday it's going to happen. We'll see.
Yeah.
Everyone needs one in their home office during the pandemic is what it is.
I actually struggled with this. What's that, Justin?
When's our Pelotons coming in our home office?
Oh, we have it.
Yours?
We have it. It's on the company card, but I keep it in my garage. So you can come use it. You can come use it anytime you want. I actually struggled with this, in taking over my father's company. He founded it in 1975, and we had a lot of people that had been there for decades. And so, things had gotten stale. And we're a TPA, and people were all in these 4-walled cubicles separated from each other. And this is, 15, 20 years ago, I really did try to manufacture culture. And in my stupid head, I was like, I'm going to paint the walls orange. I'm going to open up the floor space. We're going to have a little golf area over here to putt. And I'm going to make this really fun and cool. And there's surfboards in the corner. And, all that,
which is cool.
All fine, but that's not what matters. What matters is that communication. I love that you said transparency. I also think it's leading with compassion in the sense that you keep things in perspective and you make sure that you're not standing over your employees looking to slap their wrists for anything that they do wrong, and that you understand that they're humans. They can make some mistakes, but you just learn from the mistake and you move forward. And I think if your entire team understands that that's the fabric of your company, they start to relax. They start to feel more confident, and it just creates a better vibe. That's from my
absolutely.
Experience.
That's absolutely true. In fact, there's been times that Ross has come to me and we've talked about, should we do this? This happened just recently, in fact. And there was a couple members of the team that wanted to do it one way, and we were like, and he said, you know what, let's take the risk. Like, let them do it the way they think it's going to work. And the worst case scenario is that it's a mistake, which is the best thing that can happen, because then you can learn from the mistakes. You can't take risks if you're afraid to make a mistake. So, I mean, he's all over that. And when I say transparency, I'm talking not only about goals and what's going on in the company and all of that. We're transparent down to the financials of the company. We're transparent down to not only goals, like here's all the awesome things we want to do and the numbers we want to hit and all of that, but we're transparent to, about our worries. We're completely transparent about our concerns. So it's when I say full transparency, that's why I say it makes some people a little bit uncomfortable when I say, we've got full transparency, and that's trust right there. There's not a person in our company who doesn't have complete trust.
Yeah, I don't understand how you run a successful company without that. But I guess they used to do it back in the day, and it's just a different vibe. I mean, there's companies out there that succeed that have shitty culture.
JD, from the beginning, you've talked, I think when I first started with PDC, one of the questions I asked in that interview process was, what are your actual goals? Your response to me was, I want to take everybody in the company and their families on a vacation to Hawaii. those goals come from the top down, as Lisa was saying, but you've always taken this culture, this thought process of, I want to empower everybody to feel like their decisions are leading to the company's success. Early on, when you broke down the cubicles and you painted the walls orange, you started I don't even know if you remember this, but a 7-minute presentation. You let anybody in any position sit in the room with everybody else in the company and said, 7 minutes, tell us what you would change about your job to make your experience better, to make you a happier person. And whatever they came up with, you would allow them to implement, which is what Lisa is saying in this scenario with Ross. And hey, these folks wanted to try it this way, and we didn't necessarily agree, but we did. And some of the best changes that you made at PDC came out of those 7-minute meetings when you were running those.
I think that's a good point, Chad. I think another thought that I've had that we've executed is you try to empower people in their position to be able to do things, right? To be able to actually change things in what they do. And we've done that with all of our staff. And some of them don't want that responsibility, but the ones that do, I think it makes your career way better when you come to work on Monday, knowing that you could tweak this or modify it or make it better yourself. And I think the more people you can have within a company that can do that, that's going to equate to really good culture as well. And so we've tried to empower a lot of people to do things. The only thing I don't want to do is empower Chad to do graphic design or marketing pieces.
Good choice. See, that's a good choice. Silo me. What's the point of company culture? I pose the question because I'm genuinely curious in the web chat is, do clients see company culture? Do you think that employees elude that to where clients see it? But what's the point of company culture? Is it happy employees that lead to better servicing? I mean, I see the value in it, but I'm curious from other people's perspective, what the point of establishing really solid, good company culture is.
I think it emulates. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, so, well, from my perspective, our employees are absolutely, I mean, we're like a commercial for our company, right? So when your employees are out there talking about how amazing your company is and what good work you do, I mean, that's the best promo you've got, right? If everyone's really proud of what they do, if they're really invested in what they do, you know, we've got every employee we have out doing marketing all the time because we love our firm so much and we believe so much in what we're doing. So that's the first thing, but also it absolutely leads to better work. We've got this epidemic right now, right, of disengaged employees. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but any article you read about engagement right now, the engagement numbers in the workforce is terrible. But this solves that problem. I mean, we have so much engagement at Advisor 2X, and these are the reasons why, for sure.
So the value for you all is from a marketing perspective. Obviously, the happy employees go out, they spread the word, and that leads to greater attendance of conferences and people who want to join you, hence those emails. I can see that. I think every business is slightly different. And I look at the TPA community and I say company culture and the happiness of employees really makes an impact when you look at retaining folks for a long period of time, which in our world leads to great knowledge and intellect and really good service. And then also that comes through in a phone conversation with a client when they're comfortable talking about their kids and they don't feel like I got to hammer through this call and get off and move on to the next thing because I'm just marking down objectives. I think that's important. I think it does come through in most of the time.
For sure.
I think
it
if you
absolutely
can.
does. Even when I was training with you, Chad, there was one time I sat in on a meeting and, you know, the fact that our culture radiates and everything you do, and it just gives you a ton of confidence in communicating with clients. There was one specific client I remember saying, I see how much you love what you do and how passionate you are, you know, at all of this. And I mean, it built some great rapport with them. It wasn't just something you were coming in trying to sling to get a deal. They really saw some true value there. So real quick, there was a question. Oh, go ahead, JD.
No, go, Justin.
Question that came through that I wanted to address to Lisa. Some employees are goal oriented and some are not. How do you guys inspire those employees who aren't? I mean, it sounds like you guys have great culture, so that might take care of itself, but it's a great question.
Interesting. Well, that's actually another sort of bullet point in my head about culture is that you have to have a CEO who's willing to have the attitude of what is it that every employee does well, and then how do we make them great at that, right? So if you're not an employee who is goal-oriented, that's okay. Now, I can't think of anyone at our particular firm who's not hyper goal-oriented, but I do think that.
Bryant Lester can be pretty lazy from time to time.
Bryant Lester, that is funny.
Bryant even on this? He's not.
Wow.
Shame on him.
There he is.
He's
Too
sleeping
buried in
in.
his shot skis.
No,
I'm not
yeah.
sure I've met anyone more. He's up there with the people who are goal-oriented and hyper competitive goal-oriented. So
I would probably answer that question differently. In running my company, I've had employees that have been with me for a long, long time that aren't goal-oriented, but I can fit them into a position that doesn't need that. Not Mark, that doesn't need that. And they're happy to get their necessary job done and to do it in a good environment. And we've come to a mutual understanding that they don't want to push further than that. And that's okay for me to put them in that spot and nurture that or leave it as it is, and then work on the other people that are going to move forward in different ways. So I think you can do both and respect people for what they want. And that kind of circles back to that communication is you need to talk to your employees about what do they want from their job? What do they want long-term? And can you as an employer give them that and continue to have that conversation with them? So these are all pretty understandable bullet points, but I think they're good to review and they don't happen at all shops. And then to close the subject, I do think that beyond putting it on a bullet point on a leave behind, if you can, as a financial professional, communicate to your prospects why your company has a good culture and what that means for them, how they're going to be the benefactors of that, that can go over really, really well in a point of sale, especially like you and Justin both said, if you can exude it and you can show it and they can smell it on you, then that's going to impact their decision making. So yes, Mark, I was talking about your robe and the stench that comes from it. Let's move to the next subject, which I think is an exciting one. Let's talk about diversity in the financial services industry. We have been, what do they call it? Pale and stale, or
male,
or white and pale, stale and male.
Pale, stale, and male.
Right. For a long time. Lisa, what are you seeing in our industry and what do you think about it?
Well, there's so much going on with this right now, which is amazing. I'll tell you where my head is, and I've been in this industry for a very long time, where my head is right now with this. I would say maybe a month ago, there was a LinkedIn post, and I have absolutely no recollection of whose post it was or what it was about, but it was a webcast, I believe. And it was like, join us for this webcast. It wasn't like a coronavirus, it was before that. Join us for this webcast, and had all the speakers listed, 10 speakers. And it was man. And when I saw it, in the back of my head,
kind of like our show. No, go on.
So in the back of my head, when I saw it, it did cross through the first thing that crossed through my brain was like, wow, no women on there. And it wasn't like I dwelled on it or anything. It's just kind of like, and I kept going. Well, later that day, I went in and Amy Glenn, shout out to Amy Glenn, who is doing so much work in this, and she and I chat about this topic all the time. Amy Glenn had posted in response and said, something like there should be a woman on this post. And this is the interesting part. So when I read that, I was like, yeah, there should. And I went to click the like or the applause or whatever little emoji. And I stopped It didn't do it.
Wow.
And
You held back your like.
held back my like, and in my brain, I thought, oh, maybe, yeah, probably shouldn't do that. And then I kind of kept on with my day. Then it got more interesting because during the day, as I talked to various advisors about sessions and talking, and oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Ding, ding, ding.
Look how long we got before our advisors. That's pretty good.
You got two.
She doesn't mind.
That's Chad.
So throughout the day, as I talked to various people about sessions, I talked to 4 different women that day who said to me, we were talking about something else, but kind of as an aside, hey, just Amy's like good for Amy. And I kept thinking throughout the day, wow, this is amazing. So all these women are talking to each other. Like, good for Amy. That was really brave. That was, she took a risk, and that was really brave of Amy. But none of us would do it. I've already apologized to Amy for this. I said, I should have liked you. I should have given you my applause. But this is the issue that, I find it very curious because I'm like, what is that thing that made me stop, right? I'm sure there's a ton behind this, and it's a whole other discussion for many, many articles, but that sticks with me even now. I think about that a lot. So I started reading, and if you have not read Sonia Dreisler or heard her speak, or she did a whole bunch of research on this.
I just read Surfer magazine. I don't really read books. But.
She's incredible. If you don't read, you can listen to Jamie Hopkins' Framework podcast.
Try that.
Because she was just on that. He had some really cool people on that, and she was one of them. That's a new podcast Jamie's doing. So I've got Amy, this situation with Amy. There's some, there's all this stuff that Sonia's doing, which, she's just now turned all of her research and her articles and her speaking into a new initiative that she just launched this week, where she, is giving tools to large companies and doing consulting. So it's really cool. So check out Sonia Dreisler.
It's funny because what I don't want to do is, it's a little bit of a scary subject for me, because I don't want to say the wrong thing or you know what I mean. But I naively look at the industry right now, and since we're talking about women, I personally feel like there's this massive tsunami of like kick-ass chicks in 401k that I see all over social. And I think they actually, and if you're paying attention, any guys that are in the chat bar, like, I think the women get the social a lot more than the men do. They're able to put content out there that's more personal, that touches on relevant subject matter. And I think the men kind of struggle in just putting out the same old stuff. So if I was to look at the 401k industry and investment professionals specifically, to me, there's a lot of women that pop out on the top in terms of who I notice as go-getters and people doing new things and really pushing the envelope. And I almost get the vibe like they're going to take over if they're not taking over already. I mean, we had Jeannie on the show just the other day, and she talked about how she got like 90% of her prospects came from SHRM, and that I don't think she said these exact words, but she hinted at the fact that because her being female, she was able to connect better with a lot of these human resources people who were female. I understand they're not all female. But she said it was almost like an advantage to her. I'm putting words in her mouth. But I see Jania Stout. I see Katrina Bell. I see Jeannie.
But here would be the argument back, though, JD, is right now, and I agree with you, especially in those that are vocal. But for every one really powerful woman on social and dominating this side of the business, right now there are, and this is going to sound bad, but there's 15 men that are still getting the light that are being hired for those speaking engagements, that are getting those opportunities strictly because they fit that mold of what they expect a financial professional to look like at this point.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the bad side about this. You have the Genies and you have the Janias and all these folks that are really fantastic and causing massive ripples. But I don't think they're as big as they should be, with as different as they are, as strong as their practices are, and as good as they are. For example, Jania's 4 billion. She should be 8 billion with what she's done and what she's currently doing. And I think in part of that has to do with there's still 15 other men that are getting those opportunities strictly because they meet the characteristics of what a typical advisor is. I want to try this gin, so I'm saying it.
Those are good. Those are good insights, Chad. You're right. From a numbers perspective, they're still outnumbered. We still go to, what are the numbers like at the Excel 401k? Do you have any idea statistically what the breakdown looks like?
Well, I was just about to say at one of the things that we've done, because this has been sort of rolling around in our heads, and we're lucky because both Ross and Trey, Ross and Trey both grew up with mothers who were executives and had really good, solid, powerful jobs. So this is sort of ingrained in them already. So this is not a fight, for us. It's more a fight for us to push for the cause, right? It's already built into our culture and built into our belief system in the office, but it's still a push for us. So we do work to support organizations like WIPN, where that's a group of incredible women who are working really hard in the industry for things like this. I mean, they do mentorship and regional events. I think now there are over 1,000 women who are in that organization. I personally think the webcasts they do are incredible. There's so much going on there. So we support those women, but our biggest push right now is to get women on stage, okay? And that is a struggle. We actually initiated in our office something which I think is unique, in that we're requiring a quota. And I know that word also makes people a little bit anxious, but for 2020, our quota is, we insist that we're at 30% women speakers for every event we have.
Cool.
That is not easy, believe it or not. That is tough. Yeah. And the reason it's tough is part of what you talked about, which was numbers. This is not an industry with 30% advisors. It's just not. And the other part of it is habit, which is, it's really interesting. When I go to a firm and they want to do a topic, I still get the and this is our topic and this is the guy who does it. And I have to go back and say, how about do you have a girl in your office who does that? Okay, you've got a guy in the office and this is the guy. I know it's the guy and it's always been the guy, I get it. Who's the girl who can do this? Good. And really interestingly, they're so supportive. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we do have, but it's still,
they're willing to go
gotta
there.
push and push and push.
It's
for sure.
Everyone's going to have to champion it. It's, even down to stuff like this, always talking about it so the industry becomes used to it.
Exactly.
So now it becomes just a train of thought. Yeah, well, we have so-and-so that does, and so-and-so, who do you want?
Right. Something Brad brought up in the chat that I had not thought about until I responded to him. I honestly, I cannot think of a singular new female advisor that I'm working with. I don't.
Someone that's new into the space.
Because I work with a lot of grain advisors that I help teach this business to. Not a single one have I ever come across. Actually, Megan Coyle, that was about a decade ago, that was female, that was new coming into the business. And that's alarming to me.
That's alarming.
That's not good. Really scary to think about. And I had not thought about it until Brad just posted.
That's right. Nevin just popped in. That is true. So ARA does their top women. The top women advisors list, and that's a great place to find those up and coming women, because Nevin does a ton of work into researching that whole group. So
the work group WIRC is off the chain, man. They're having big conferences and big groups, so I think that's pushing it in the right direction.
Some of it geographical. I'm curious because obviously, I mean, you go kind of coast to coast, right? West Coast, East Coast, and those markets and whatnot. And Chad, to your point, maybe it's different in other areas. And are there any? I know Nevin's chiming in with his top. I mean, if we segmented where they are in the country, is it focused in a certain area where maybe it's more prevalent than where we are, where it's just still we're behind the 8 ball a little bit?
I'm not sure that there's a difference because we run these numbers. Where are the advisors? Where are the advisor women? You know, we've run that a whole bunch of times. And I think the advisor women generally are in the same locations as, as the sorry, I have to say it, as the advisors. So they're generally on the coasts. You know, we've run that scenario a whole bunch of times, and I'm not sure that there's any difference there.
Well, this is not my place to say. I like Kathleen's chiming in saying, hey, we need to make sure those, like you're saying, we need to make sure those panelists are more representative of our, you know, diversity. I also think that, is this only for the women to do? Should women get out there and promote and help younger women see the benefits of working in financial services and get out there and kind of, you know, help people see this could be a good gig?
I think that they are like crazy. I know that Whippen is they've got mentorship programs. So you can be a mentee or you can be a mentor. And those are incredible. And remember, this diversity conversation isn't just about women. So if you think the number of women in our industry is, you know, especially when you look at the advisor industry, let's talk about how many Black advisors there are.
Yeah, the pale part is almost the worst part, right? It's like you see very few.
Yeah,
and
so
that's not good.
Whippen's working on that too. So I just learned last night that Whippen is working on a new initiative where they're, from what it's, don't quote me on this because I just heard about this last night, but it sounds like Whippen is sort of working as a clearinghouse for internships for our industry. So Whippen is connecting with HBCUs throughout the country. And then if you have an internship, they can connect you to an HBCU to expose those college students to our industry. So that's super cool. Yeah.
We should probably talk about this for 2 hours. I mean, it's a serious subject. I hate to just kind of move on. And I hope I don't want to be insensitive to the low numbers in those two groups, but I'm going to say this at risk. I think the 55-year-old white male financial advisor typical look is really not a good look for our industry. I think if we could look more diverse as a group, I think the public, the consumers would look at us in a better way. I think having that white male as our figurehead is not a good thing for us. And I apologize if you're a middle-aged white male, which I am, but I think we'd look a lot better and a lot more attractive.
I don't think the issue is a middle-aged white male. I think the issue is a stereotype. Yeah. It's the image is an individual that is of one sex and of one race. The look should not be that it is one sex and one race. It should be that it is diverse. So I don't think there's an issue with you being 55 white and male. I think it's the fact that the vast majority is 55 white and male.
True. I think that's what I meant. I probably didn't say that well. Yeah. I think it'd be great for us to have more diversity on all kinds of levels.
What we will do though, we're committing to it. We're actually connecting with Quad A, African American Advisors Association. Shout out to Renee Norsh, who's helping me with this, but we're committing to both our quota for women speakers and desperately trying to get some Black financial advisors on the stage. So if you are a Black financial advisor or you know a Black financial advisor, call me because I need to put you up on stage. Email me, carrier pigeon me.
Very cool. We'll go from a very serious subject to having a little bit of fun. Okay. We'll mix it up. We call this game, Who Is That? It's a movie. It's a movie audio game. And we're going to play for you just a little audio clip and you're going to try to guess the movie. I just ask that you wait till the end of it and give it your best shot. All right. You ready, Lisa?
Okay.
Here we go.
That is so fetch. Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Any guesses?
That's like either like Clueless or Mean Girls or
Yes.
one. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
It's the latter. It's the latter. That's Mean Girls. Good for you. Good
Mean
job.
Girls. It's incredible.
Well done.
You're 1 for 1, Brandon. Let's
Chasing
move
Nevin
on.
down.
What's the matter with you? I can't swim. Why, are you crazy? The fall will probably kill you.
I personally didn't get this one.
I have no
For me.
clue.
It's an older movie.
I have no idea. This sounds like a movie my husband would watch. Should
This
back
is
there, like,
Nevin knows.
Nevin. Oh, look, Nevin nailed it.
Is that
You
really
nailed
what
it,
it is?
Nevin. Yeah, it's Butch Cassidy. And,
yeah, no, I
and the
don't think I've ever
Sundance
seen
Kid.
that.
Okay, Boomer. He got that one. All right, let's go to the next one.
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
Own or rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
38.
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
How nice of you to notice.
I'm a kid. That's my job.
All you gotta do is check the
Hey.
chat. All you have to do is cheat off the chat bar because everyone's guessing.
That was good. That was good though.
I had no idea what that does. You know what? I didn't know that was Uncle Buck, but that sounds like everybody working from home right now with their kids next to them, trying to.
Little Macaulay Culkin and rest in peace, John Candy. Am I getting that right? Is that right?
Yes.
Uncle
Yeah.
Buck. Uncle Buck. Let's do Brandon. Let's do the fourth one since we're having so much fun.
Still got it. Look at her. Just living the dream. I love that. You know what? I will have some meatloaf. Let's have some meatloaf. You want some? Yes. I knew you'd go. Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The
I have to
meatloaf!
know this.
Classic.
Kathleen is freaking 4 for 4, man. Josh is crushing it.
You know, I can visualize. I just can't think what it is, but I can visualize like the scene.
Yeah, it's Wedding Crashers, right?
Wedding Crashers, right?
when
That was
he's-
hysterical.
My kids have no idea what that movie is, but they're using that line constantly. And it's not usually meatloaf. It's like, Mom, blueberries. But they know what it comes from. So they constantly say it.
I was going to give you crap, Chad, but then I come to think about it. My 18-year-old and my 16-year-old do the same thing. So
Yeah.
All right, before we move on, a question
Yeah.
came through that I'm very, very scared to ask about, but I gotta do it. Was told to ask you about your high school prom, Lisa.
Whoa.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
That's a Trey one, isn't it?
No, it's not.
No, this is Mark, get off the line.
Not you, Mark.
Wow.
Not that Mark. No.
There goes Mark.
I didn't know it was that easy. Mark, get off.
I guess we're never going to know. We're never going to know about prom night. Okay. We'll
Such a small world. It's such no, there's no like weird story behind this or anything. Let me back up
I
a bit.
think it's actually worse that you don't
No.
answer the question.
No, it's a really small industry, and shout out, hello, Mark Panoni. And Mark and I have been friends for 20 something years, and
He went to prom with you.
we went to prom together. Yeah, we
No,
actually
you did.
We were, yeah. And yeah, we've been friends for a long time. Excellent advisor, Mark Panoni. Good job. Good job, you.
I don't know,
William.
Mark. I don't know, Mark. She doesn't seem very excited about the prom night. So I don't think you should ask that question too much.
Mark, respond yes or no to this in the chat. Weren't you the one that had dirt on Scott? Was it John? There was some other advisor. I got a weird question. Or no, some of the guests we had. That I
Justin's going to go look back. Through.
We've got some serious subject matter today. Lisa, you brought these to us, but I like them. Let's wrap it up with giving back. You know, these
Oh,
kind of
yay.
charitable efforts, or even just giving back to the local community that our advisors are out there doing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me where your headspace is at with this giving back trend that we're seeing.
So this is something that I'm incredibly passionate about, and the whole office is, in fact. And there's so much going on about this, in addition to diversity and women, to this giving back focus. Maybe 2 months ago, I've been following Tyrone Ross, if you know who he is.
Yeah,
He's actually not in the plan. I don't think he actually does plans, although interestingly, his handle is 401, but it's not this 401.
Yeah.
His handle is 401 because he was a track runner and he ran the 400, and it's kind of like giving 101%. He ran 401 to beat everybody who ran the 400. That's
I know the dude you're talking about.
Yeah.
He is passionate times a million.
And
right. Yeah, a really good dude. So go on.
So I connected with him and I said, I love what you're doing. And, we're thinking about our events, and, you go to an event, and we're a prosperous industry, right? We go to these events, and we go to these beautiful hotels, and we spend money in the city, and we go to parties, and we go to dinners, and we host receptions, right? Who is, what's happening in that city that we all descend upon and then leave? So our goal is, we want to make sure that every time we have an event, when we land in that city, that we're focusing on, let's make sure they know we're here, and that we care about the fact that tons of people in this city are suffering. And it doesn't matter what city you pick, they're suffering. So we've partnered up with Tyrone, and for our last couple of events, we pick a group, and we're trying to pick, we're working with high schoolers. That's generally what our focus is. Tyrone's got a big focus on financial literacy, as well as what he calls getting proximate. And I'm going to steal his phrase because I say it everywhere. So getting proximate means we're not going to go and say, everybody who comes, donate $10 and we're going to give it to this organization. We do raise money because they need it. But the other thing we're doing is focusing on getting proximate to these kids, which means we're going to them. So we're going to their school. For Excel, which is in Vegas, the 25th through the 27th of October, we're going out to them, and we're going to do a workshop with Tyrone and some attendees. They're going to bring we're partnering up with Project 150, who gave me this great t-shirt. So I'm a walking billboard for Project 150 in Vegas. Shout out to Veronica Marquez, who's helping me at Project 150. So we're going to go out to them and do a workshop. And we're also, this is super cool, we're going to bring a group of those kids to the event, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
we're going to their neighborhood, and we're going to do a workshop. And then we're going to take a group of them, and we're going to bring them to the event.
Is this the Excel event?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you probably want us to not be there in the corner. That's not a good influence if the Retireholics are back
We're
there.
going to put them in the opposite corner.
Right, yeah. Keep them away from our
Just where
corner.
Mark throws footballs towards and breaks picture frames.
Excuse me, miss, who are those 4 drunk guys in the corner? Is that what happens here?
Yeah, so it's going to be incredible, and that's our focus is raising money and getting proximate to these kids so we can make a difference. And I can't wait to try something where we're going to bring kids to the event. They're going to see, like, this is what happens if you can get out. And Tyrone has an incredible story of his background and how he grew up and getting into financial services. But exposing them to, this is a conference, this is what happens at a conference.
Yeah, opening their eyes.
Exposing them, giving them hope, all of that. So it's incredible, and we cannot wait to do it. It's super exciting.
I'm seeing this on lots of local levels, and it's really fills my heart to see this. I think charity and giving 10, 15 years ago was like something you'd put on your website. And maybe it was on your brochure to talk about how you gave to the local community. And somehow that was going to make your prospect feel like, oh, look at what big hearts these people have at this company. And that's bullshit, right? So what it's moving to now is I'm seeing financial professionals in their local community getting proximate, doing things for youth, for disadvantaged people, teaching them financial literacy. There's a woman in San Diego. I won't mention her because I didn't get her approval to do this, but she did one for young women. And what she did is she brought the executives from her clients that were women and brought them all into a big room, and they gave some speeches to the young girls, basically to inspire them to see powerful, successful women in different industries. And this advisor organized the whole thing. And to me, it's like, wow, that's a great way to make a difference. And then sideways, secondarily, if people see you as a good person or it ups your brand, I'm okay with that too. But if your heart's in the right place and you're doing the effort first, that's what matters. And I see that. I see on the East Coast, another advisor that we've done some work with, going deep into the schools, the disadvantaged schools, and providing free financial literacy to those people, which I think is so important. I think if you are a financial professional out there, you should be thinking about how you could get into your local community and make a difference and do good for people. But at the same time, the marketer and brander in me says, it makes our whole industry look better. They see that we're real people and not just people in suits and ties trying to make a bunch of money.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is it's nice too when people do things where they're not looking for credit. You get more credit in my mind when you're not trying to publicize what you are doing for the community. And I know that sounds a little backwards, and I'll give you an example, Lisa, of what you're speaking about. And JD, I've told you this before. I've been lucky enough to go on a few adventurous trips with different providers that we've had successful years with. And every time they ask at the end, what was your favorite part about our TPA forum that we put together? And there's one provider in particular, John Hancock, that every trip or every event they do something with the local community. We've painted houses, we've packed food, we've had kids from the local schools come out and do games and competitions with them, and then everybody donates and we build a kitchen for them. These are the most memorable parts of those trips. And every year they ask my wife and I, what was the best part of what we did? Without question. It wasn't the happy hours, it wasn't awards, it wasn't having drinks with colleagues. Every time it's that opportunity to give back. And I think if more people embrace that and realize that this could be good for your business as well as your heart and your company culture, which you talked about earlier, then you would see more of it in our world.
Is it still okay? I'll ask you, Mark. Is it still okay, instead of getting proximate and rolling up your sleeves, can you put on a big fancy golf tournament for a bunch of advisors and have them all buy stuff at the raffle and silent bid?
Fantastic.
Is that still a good thing?
That to me is more of a fundraiser. That's not charitable in any sense of the word. And my comment is just this, to Chad's point somewhat, is if you're gonna do something and do good, if you're given the ability to do it, it should be for yourself or those around you, and it doesn't need to be promoted. And I get, JD, what you're saying from a branding. I don't believe in that. I think if you want to do something nice, great. I don't need to know about it. We all want to do things nice. Don't use it for self-promotion. Sorry to be that jerk, if you will, but it makes it feel disingenuous and rather, again, self-promoting, and I don't believe in that.
Brandon agrees with you.
So a big golf tournament, that's not a great forum for saying, hey, look what I gave back. But if the outcome of that means that you generated X dollars or what have you from folks, then great. Provide that to the people it was for, and I don't need to see pictures about it on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, because then it just seems like you're using it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, you probably, if you do any type of charity, I would say in today's day and age, any type of charity or give back or good efforts like we're talking about, people should have to dig to find that out. It shouldn't be on your homepage with
but
a little.
It's all about ROI. You know that with most businesses, they're going to look and say, I can put it on I can hide it. I cannot televise it, but it's not going to get me much in return. And I'm agreeing with you, Mark, obviously, with what I said earlier. but most are looking and saying, well, if I push this out on social and I show that we've done this, might lead to one new client that looks and goes, oh, they're giving back to our community. Let me reach out to them. And
There's a way to Venn diagram.
I get it.
There's a way to strike a balance.
I'm playing the other side. I get it. I'm not trying to say there's a
I think you're playing the other side because Ross joined in and you want to make sure that he feels good about the patch that's on your chest, because Ross is in here now.
No, he's not. It's JD. JD's name is Ross.
Oh, damn you, JD. You fooled me. Here I thought Ross was joining the conversation.
Guess what? Chad was just wrong.
It can happen every 10 years or so.
Oh,
yeah,
shoot.
Can you scoot over a little bit so all we can see is the white background accentuating your hair?
Shoot, I forgot that I was Ross Marino. I was trying to rip on Lauren in the chat bar by calling him Mrs. Brandrup, but he probably didn't know that was me. So Lauren was the guy giving me shit the other day. Remember when he was talking about how TPAs were a pain in the ass and too much transactions? He's back for more, Lauren. Mark, you play a game. What's your game called, Mark?
It's called, what is it called these days? I'm game or is it lame? I honestly forgot that for a couple of seconds there. Lisa, if you're not familiar with this extremely highly touted game show that we do on this show, I'll explain it. It's basically yes or no questions. Keeping it real simple.
Good explanation.
And at the surface of all this, I wanted to bring it back a little bit of in my mind, the core and the culture of Advisor 2X. Again, you guys are my sponsor. I hold you to a very high standard. You're amazing, but I need to know if this is a part of your culture. So my first question of, are you gamers at lame? You go to a conference, you walk around to every single sponsor table and you hoard tchotchkes for your own good. I'll ask you first, Lisa, is this something you're into?
Me personally?
Yes.
Of course.
I am an extremely light traveler. So to me, the more stuff you pick up, the more stuff has to go into a suitcase. And so
lame.
If you are a woman who has to go to conferences, enough stuff has to go in those bags already. You need like 85 pairs of shoes. There's no room in the bag for tchotchkes. So that's enough.
So her answer is lame.
Or you can just buy your attire there, which is what Justin does.
I say lame. I think the tchotchkes are stupid at those things.
I will agree with Nevin, who said it depends on if you have kids. I will tell you at the beginning of my career, I would buy random airport things for the kids. Now I can bring them home a little squishy football or some tchotchke from a table, and they love it.
Okay.
Little stuffed animal. Little stuffed animals.
I personally, but I love the back and forth that's created with Brian. That's for dang sure.
I'll just say, all this is doing is fueling fire to the battle between Bryant and us, I should say. Is you know what he's doing, right? How much tchotchkes he takes, and
he's got an entire second suitcase for tchotchkes.
I was curious to know if this was a part of your culture.
It is. I think this is a very personal question, but Bryant is a fan of the tchotchkes. I am aware of that.
A fan of Bryant, so don't worry. That was okay. Next question. These are gonna get real easy now. Earbuds, lame or game? Lisa?
I mean, like the wire-free ones?
Wireless earbuds, yep.
Hate them. Lame.
Yeah!
What do you mean? What? So a wire is cooler? Like, why would they be lame? What's negative? There's nothing negative about it.
Okay, yeah. What's negative, Chad, is that they've created wires so you don't lose them. Why not just have wired headphones? Ding dong.
Mark, I'm sure you've lost wired headphones as well.
Mark, how many times do you get up while you're on a call and the shit just yanks on your ear, the phone falls on the table?
Look at JD trying to raise his hand.
Yes, JD. Yes, Ross.
I felt like they were akin to the guy you'd see in Starbucks 10 years ago with the big thing in his one ear, talking to someone while he's in line. And Chad had the new little Pods, Air, but what are they called? Whatever they are, the new ones. I think Justin had them as well. And I was giving you guys some crap about it. I got them for Christmas and they're phenomenal.
By the way,
I absolutely love them. I'm obsessed with them now. But the good news for me is I can just cover them up. No one knows I have them on.
I called them the wrong name. Yeah, they're AirPods, not earbuds. That's how little I know about them. So, all right. Well, Lisa, I'm glad we think the same there.
We thank you, Mark.
Next question: responding to a text message. If you send a text message to somebody and they respond to you with a phone call.
Oh.
I feel so strongly about this. My level of strong opinion about this is high.
And is it lame, or are you game, or is it lame?
Yeah.
I would agree. Situation. What if you ask a loaded question and I got to sit there and type for 2 hours?
Oh, so are you picking on Justin right now?
I didn't know he did that.
Say, can I call you?
Yeah. Ask for permission.
You're already talking and it doesn't matter.
See, I call
Can I
Brandon
call you?
and then I text him afterwards. Is that the same thing?
I think if I send a text and you can't text back, but I don't think I would send a text that required so much that you couldn't text back. But if you can't text back, then just call me.
Well, I think.
Hold on, JD, we got your answer. So let me ask you this. I'm going to follow that one up and go. If that person that you just text calls you, do you ignore that call even though they know you're literally on your phone at that point?
I mean, if it is a client, I pick up the phone.
You can just fib. You can just fib and text them again and say, "Sorry, I'm on another call." Yeah. Chad does that to me all day long.
All the time. All the time. Usually when I'm on the golf course.
Hey, my new best friend, Lauren, says that where are the tough questions, Mark? Lauren says your questions suck. Where are the questions about prisoners or Tyson knockouts? Like, come on, get your shit together.
Because if you turn Mark loose, Lauren, it's going to get bad. Trust me, his mind will go spiral quickly.
This is my segment. I defend myself, Chad.
No, I'm saying it in a kudos, Mark. Your questions are, when you go crazy, are fantastic.
Hey. Robe's about to come off in a second, but Lauren, I'm looking you in the eyes right now. You know what they say.
And you know what? We'll end it right on that. Mark's famous saying. It's been another fun episode of Sheltering in Place. Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining us.
Fun.
If Ross Marino gets his hands on this video, you may no longer have a job.
Yep.
And we apologize for that in advance. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. Yes.
Can we plug next week's show?
Yes.
Or next show?
Amy, Bradley, Brandon, Carl, Josh, Kevin, my boy Lauren, Mark Paone from the prom. Michael Webb, what's up? Nevin Adams, my boy. Paul, Trey's in his house. Next Tuesday, Fred Rishi, my BFF, is going to be here to talk a little 401 Kizzle.
Let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend.
There it is.
Nice job. Never getting a little creepy.
Is this actually happening this time?
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
We have to at least, let Lisa plug. And I'm curious to know, what are the conversations going around for the conference in October? You're full steam ahead, or are you looking at potential for pushback? So first off, plug it. Secondly, any idea of changes?
So Excel 401k is October 25th through the 27th in Vegas. It's incredible. We have a all advisor steering committee who puts the agenda together. That you can check it out on the website right now. Who's on that committee? They're working on the agenda right now. In fact, it's going to be probably done on Monday. But the site's up, excel401k.com. And right now we're going full steam ahead. It's not till the end of October. So, but we're not oblivious to the fact that things could change. So we'll see.
Awesome.
And the Retireholics will be there. We'll be there.
We will be there.
Yeah, JD's going to do a session, right, JD?
Well, that too, but that's going to suck.
Oh,
but we're going to be there doing all kinds of stuff.
Him down doing that.
Yeah, don't allow them in the room when I'm speaking. Not good, not good. All right, guys. Thanks, Mark. That was good. Good way to end it.
Thank you.
We are the Retireholics, changing the retirement plan industry one shitty Zoominar at a time. Brought to you by Advisor 2X. And what do you say, Maya? How do we close it out?
Don't touch your face, ding dong.
Yeah, Maya, I agree. Good
Thanks,
advice.
See you,
All right,
everybody.
Brandon, roll the music. See ya.
Later.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Lisa. Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Enya's wiping them out quick. This has got to be people that just didn't turn their computers off.
No, that's what they did. They just want to look like they're on the show.
They're watching Netflix.
Kevin, you're not really there. You're not there, Kevin. You just pretended like you stayed here because you wanted CE credit or some shit.
Roll live to YouTube for no reason. I figure if they're gonna like hit our video for playing music, we should play the whole song.
Oh, Kevin's there. He's feeding the dogs.
I got my pods in.
Yeah,
that's how I do all our meetings. I just got my pods in and my phone on a table.
You want to do a post?
It's more and more like Post Malone every day.
The longest song.
That's actually why I picked the longest song I had. See who would survive. Kevin are still here.
There's no way Amy's still here. She left it on her iPad and went to go do something important.
Too much shopping. All right, I was kidding. We didn't have that much longer.
That's been the Retireholics show. Tune back in next time and we'll have fun with 401k. Freddie, JD, together back again. Retireholics.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy, cuddly toy, my up, my down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you about him. He's so much fun. Whether we're talking man to man or whether we're talking son to son, 'cause he's my best.
I'm out of here.
All right. Who else, Kevin? Yeah, obviously Amy set up her iPod. Amy's still here. I should know because she's still in school.
No way.